Hello YouTube and welcome back to the Green Engineer channel. I'm JT, and in this video what I want to do is I kind of want to go over a pretty ambitious project that I want to embark on. Let me tell you how this has all come about. When I decided to do this, to create this channel, I've decided that I wanted to work on various projects that has to do with all things green, right? Actually, it'll encompass quite a bit more than that. But the idea was, okay, well, let's do videos and projects based on like power generation, ways that you can help to get yourself off grid or less dependent on the system as a whole. That helps everybody out because the less electricity we're using, the better off the environment is. Let's do things more environmentally responsible. There was a lot that went into the idea for the channel, and what I need to do is figure out a good way of being able to work on those projects, video everything that I'm doing, do a lot of how-tos, as well as basically get the word out. I want to be able to have a way of showcasing this when it's all said and done. And ideally, the first thought was, well, okay, I'll just do it on the property. Well, as I thought about that more, I was like, well, okay, on a static property, yeah, it would work, and that would definitely work out real well. And for like as an example, for like off-gridders and people are looking to build a tiny house out in the middle of nowhere or something like that, that might work out really well. But the thing is, that would be really hard to showcase. People would actually have to come to the property in order to be able to see it in action. And I thought, it might be much smarter to do it in a mobile setting, because if I could do it on a mobile setting, not only does it kind of provide a proof of concept for people out there who have been, and you know who they are, the naysayers. Oh, you can't really do that, and the people who try to poo-poo all over the idea of minimalizing or getting off grid or anything that is alternative or something different than the status quo way you're, quote, supposed to live your life. That's one thing that really irritates me to death, is that whole stigma that this is the way everybody does it, so this is the way you're supposed to do it, and if you don't do it, there's something wrong with you. That's BS, and that kind of mentality needs to go right out the window. So again, one of the ideas behind the Green Engineer channel is to kind of show, look, you don't have to conform to all that, and here's the proof. And that's kind of coming back to the idea of putting it in a mobile setting. That way, anytime I'm out, maybe this would also be a really good way for me to travel and be able to showcase this. So if I get contracted to come out and speak on the various projects and technologies that will be implemented into the truck, that'd be great. I can take the truck out there, and it is not only a great way to showcase all of that. It's a conversational topic, and it's very practical. This is a way that I might be able to create a living quarters, live in it, so I don't have to stay in hotels and all this other kind of stuff. Why would you do that if you've now built something that is very self-sustainable, as far as generating your own power and processing your own water and being able to do everything right there? Why would you stay in a hotel at this point? I'd just soon go out to like a national park where the scenery is gorgeous and and do like the camping thing. That is just way a much better idea for me. But even in the practical sense, if I'm going from here, let's say I'm going from the East Coast to the West Coast or vice versa, during the travel, I'm probably going to have to stop and sleep at some point. So that means pulling into like maybe a Walmart and doing the overnight parking thing. Just basically sleep for a few hours, get up, start your day, get yourself woke up, and then out back on the road. Or you might have to stay at a rest stop or something like that, or a truck stop, whatever. There's definitely some practicality in it involved as well. Well, let me show you what I've come up with. I've come up with using something like this. Okay, whoops, I just clicked off of it. Something like this. This is a 26-foot box truck. This one happens to be, the truck portion here, the diesel portion here, happens to be an International 4700, I think it is. Very important because it's under CDL. Now, in the state that I'm in, this might be getting off track a little bit, but the state that I'm in, It's all based on gross vehicle weight rating. And this particular truck is like 25,950, and I think the cutoff is like 26,000. So that's about the beefiest truck I can find, um, and still be under CDL. So that, like I said, that was the reason for something like this. Like I said, something like this would be almost perfect, for a lot of reasons. That is a lot of space. Look at the size, the sheer size of that box. Okay, 26 feet long, about 8.5 feet wide, I think. Um, the thing is, because of the projects that I want to do, we're going to be looking at an awful lot of solar, which means I'm going to need a lot of real estate for solar. But look at how big this is. That'd be 26 feet wide and about 8.5 feet, or 26 feet long, 8.5 feet wide. That is a lot of real estate up top here that I could put all sorts of solar devices on. Well beyond just solar panels. I put solar panels in here. Obviously, he's going to have to take up a good portion of this, or a relative amount of portion, or a relative amount of space up here. But I'll also want to put in like a solar distiller, so that I can process water and and have fresh distilled water. I'll touch on a lot of these other ideas later on, and well, what I mean is I guess I'm touching on them now, but I'll go through them a little bit more in depth later as far as the actual design, how I want it to work. Um, but also have up here, other solar absorbers, things like a way of, you know, here in the Midwest, it gets cold in the wintertime here. So being able to harvest the heat from the sun in the wintertime and actually use it to heat the living quarters would be ideal. It'd be very, very smart, and very smart thing to do. So that's something I would also need real estate at the top to be able to do. Solar water heater, same kind of concept. Why wouldn't you? I'd rather be able to take a shower and have nice hot water, do it during the day, and not have to worry about the electricity it would take to run an inline water heater, or have to worry about propane. I'll be touching on all that. I have zero desire to have any kind of propane in this. My ideas, and I'll go into detail about this later on, but I want to use HHO on demand, if at all possible, or maybe even not on demand. Maybe again, I'll talk about that later. But the idea is, I don't want to have a lot of extraneous expenses. Propane would be an extraneous expense, and quite frankly, it is something that you don't necessarily. You don't. It's not necessary. You don't have to have it, because you can do pretty much anything with hydroxy gas or Brown's gas than that you can with propane. And as a matter of fact, a lot of propane devices can be very, very easily modified, if you have enough HHO or hydroxy gas or Brown's gas production. Then you can usually just right into it and you're good to go. But regardless, I mean, it's not. There obviously is going to be some modifications, but anyway, I'll get into all that stuff later, and we'll start toying around with that stuff later. But again, the idea is, here's the idea. All right, with the box truck right here, what I want to do is I want to take the front section here and turn the front section. I don't even know how big a section I actually am going to need for this, but make it into like a living quarters where there'll be a bed to sleep on, and then we'll have what I'm going to need is I'm going to need a pretty decent work center, for my computer setup. But beyond that, have a little kitchenette kind of area in here, and it doesn't have to be anything fantastic. It's going to have a refrigerator slash freezer, for food, and some storage. And I don't even plan on putting in like a stove or a range or anything like that. I'll have a microwave oven, and and like a George Foreman grill, and maybe a pizza cooker. I'll put stuff like that in there, and definitely have like my coffee machine, because you don't even want to know me unless I have my coffee. But that's beyond the point. So that's a staple and necessity. But I'm thinking like a living quarters, make it fully insulated, really, really well insulated. I want to focus on the insulation, because that is going to make or break you as when it comes to climate control in this thing. And it blows my mind, that I see a lot of these builds where they're just not putting in a lot of effort into the insulation, part of it. Well, that's the thing. If you ask me, if you're going to be doing any kind of air conditioning or heating, if you're down in Florida, even if you're down in Florida, you want good insulation. And one of the reasons is, well, you want to keep the heat out. See, a lot of people think you need the insulation just to keep the heat in. It works both ways. You want to keep the heat out, and if you cool the inside, you want to keep it cool. Well, if you have a lot of thermal leakage, then you know what? You're shooting yourself in the foot, and it's not near as efficient. Now, I don't know how far we'll be able to go with it, but that's definitely a key point that I'm going to be looking at as far as efficiency. Make sure it's well insulated. I also plan on, and I'll go through the whole climate control thing, but I have, different ideas in my head of how to utilize that space and make that space work well for a climate control system. Anyway, we'll get to that. Definitely stay tuned, future videos, because I am going to go into, greater detail as far as what my ideas are. And I may touch on them a little bit in this video. But again, that's the idea. So a good portion of this up front would be the living area. Right next to it, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted a box truck, is the height. Because what I want to do is I want to put in a nice stand-up corner shower in the bathroom area. Because I don't know about you, but like I said, I in my world, a nice, comfortable, relaxing shower is is one of the joys in life. So I want to have a full-size shower. This is one of the main reasons why I didn't decide to just start off with like a cargo van and doing a cargo van conversion, and then implementing some of these things in there. I just don't feel like there'd be enough room for all the things that I want to do. Some things you can do in the cargo van setup, and I have absolutely nothing against people who do like the van dwelling thing. Matter of fact, there's a guy that has a channel. He's Into the Mystery 13. I absolutely adore that kid. That kid is great in my book, and I couldn't be more stoked or pumped for him, and actually several others that I'm not going to mention at this point, but there's several other people out there that just are really, they're out there doing it. And that particular kid, though, you should check out his channel, because that kid is inspirational. He's, in my opinion, I'm 40 years old. I think he's like 24, and he is well beyond, his age, as far as some of the different, concepts and the way he thinks. Worth your time to check out his channel. So there's a shout out from me to you, Jed. So that being said, back to this. All right. So the idea is, of course, like I said, the living quarters up front, a section back here for the shower, probably some storage, and I'll probably end up using like a composting toilet. That'll make things quite a bit easier. And quite frankly, that's not a bad way to go, as far as environmentally responsible. That's a real good way to go. So we're probably going to implement something like that. But most importantly, I think, not most importantly, but equally important, is the back section here. In the back section, that's where I want to have my garage / utility area. So that's / shop even, because number one, if you guys didn't know this, I happen to own a bike or motorcycle, and I think it would be really cool to be able to take my bike with me and kind of turn this thing into a partial, like a toy hauler, where I can stick the bike here in the back and clamp it down and have it. Because obviously, if I'm traveling around, I'm not going to want to drive this beast everywhere. If I just want to go grab a bite to eat, it'd be nice to just be able to take the bike and then go. And not only that, I really, really like riding. So that's, again, one of the joys in life. If you are a biker yourself, or a rider, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to explain it. And if you're not, you should go get a bike. Okay, so that's me trying to share one of my passions with you, because getting on a bike and just cruising, you experience the road in a completely different way, and it's very addicting, and it's something that you grow to love, and it becomes part of you. So anyway, but back to this. So I would definitely like a place for the bike, but aside from that, also, I would like to definitely also have a shop area. I mean, you guys know I'm an engineer, so I prototype. I make things. So in the back here, I would like to have a CNC and probably like a 3D printer back here in order to prototype, make some new fun stuff. So, and also, the toolbox and everything, I'm definitely going to want to have that even while I'm on the road, in case I run into any kind of problems. A lot of things I'll be able to do myself, as far as repairs and whatnot. and it's important to have your tools. So that would go in the back as well. In the back, this is also going to be a storage area for like your all the batteries for the power system in here, inverters, charge controllers, that kind of thing. All needs to go back here. I'd also want to most likely have like the 55-gallon drums is probably what I'll end up using for water storage. One of the ideas that I did have is to set up a rainwater catch up on top underneath, literally underneath all the solar stuff, so that as the water comes down, it hits. Like I said, I'll go into all this in greater detail, but have a 55-gallon drum that will collect that water and also be able to pump it up into the solar evaporator up here, or the so that it can solar distiller, it can distill the water, and then I'll have to have another tank for collecting the now distilled and fresh water that's perfectly potable at that point. That's kind of the idea. But like I said, that storage space. So I'm going to need a space back here for that, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet, or how it's all going to come about. But that's kind of the thing. First thing you do is get a truck, and my thing is I would much rather have too much space than not enough. So I'm thinking like a 24-footer would be great. I'm shying away from the cutaway vans for that reason. Typically the cutaway vans, and the ones I'm talking about, they're the box trucks that have like the front looks like a van or a truck. They're typically pretty short, 14 or 16 feet. Sometimes you can find them a little bit longer than that. I think I saw one, some guy listed it 19 feet. It didn't look 19 feet to me, but I think that was about the biggest one that I've ever seen with a cutaway van front. You go bigger, like what I want, it's like a 24. This happens to be a 26, which I think would be ideal. This particular individual, this is on Craigslist, but this particular individual, I sent him an email message, kind of outlining, what my plan was, and told him, well, look, this is as much money as I have to spend. Would you be willing to donate the truck to me in the form of selling it to me at a much lower price? Didn't get any kind of response, but that's beyond the point. The point is, this would be ideal. Like a 26-footer, 24, 26-footer would probably work out really well, because again, the space. I mean, batteries are heavy, so I definitely want an engine, a drivetrain that's strong enough to be able to handle it without it feeling overloaded. This is obviously, it's not going to be packed full. Like these are designed to be, filled with cargo that is heavy. What my build will not have that much weight on it, which theoretically should also help with fuel economy. So, like I said, there's things to take into consideration, but ideally, I would like something like this as a way of, again, being able to showcase all the different things that we're going to work on this channel, and all the different projects, and basically showing everybody, look, the technology's here. It's been here for a long time. It's not as hard as you think it is. Here, go over to my channel. You'll be able to see how it's done, and then you can do it yourself. That is the idea. That is the goal. That is the hope. I definitely want this also to be very collaborative, in that, as an example, what I did, and I should tell you this, I'll go ahead and plug this, but I created a Facebook page, a community, actually. I didn't set up the page as like a company or business or anything like that. I set it up as literally a community. So you should be able to click on it, come on over, and I encourage every last one of you to do that. If you catch this in passing, just come on over, click on the link, come on over. I'll put it down below, and join in the community, so you can kind of see how things are happening. If you're on Facebook a lot, or even if you're not, it's a great way, for people to be able to get the information right away. Hey, look, there's a new part to this project that we've done. You might want to check it out, and that'd be a great way to do that. And even if that's not the reason for it, it would be nice if you go in there, and if you have a thought, I'm a firm believer that 1,000 brains are better than 1 or 2 or 5 or 10. Okay, because not necessarily, obviously, not everybody's going to be engineers, not everybody's going to be craftsmen, not everybody's going to have a lot of experience with this kind of stuff, but everybody has a brain, and everybody has thoughts, and everybody has an opinion. And a lot of times you can give out your opinion and your thought, or ask a question, and that will spark an idea or open the door to a path of thought that may lead us in a better direction. That's one of the great things about working collaboratively in a group, is that you never know, the path that you'll end up taking, because, people, it doesn't matter what skill level you are or whatever, you have a means of influencing that and helping in that regard. So if you're someone who maybe is not that um, well versed in, in this kind of stuff, that's okay. That's okay. That doesn't mean that you don't bring intrinsic value to the conversation, because you will. Just because your brain works a little bit, everybody's brain works a little bit differently, and therefore, the more people you have saying, "Hey, well, what about this, or what about that, or why are you doing it that way? What about this, or can you use this? Can you use that?" It's a way of sparking thought, the thought process. And for people like me, I know that when I worked in the factories, as an engineer there, I would always spend the time talking to the operators. Now they're not engineers, but oftentimes what would end up happening is they would say something that would get my brain going and be like, "Oh yeah, oh, let's try it this way," and then I come up with a much better idea, and I wouldn't have been able to if they hadn't made whatever comment they made. So like I said, it's awesome when you can have that kind of a collaborative thing, and not only that, being part of something, bringing these kind of technologies and ideas, and just the basic idea of being more environmentally responsible, being more efficient, and more aware of our impact on not just the environment but life all around us and people, society in general. That's huge, and I really feel like that's everybody's responsibility. Is you need to, we need to step up, and one of the great ways to do that is to get active, in some of this, and that's great, because I'll tell you what, we'd love to have you. So definitely click on the link down below. Go over to the Facebook page, join the community, and get involved. That's what it's all about. Let's do it together. Doing these kind of projects together, it's just way more fun. And then you can actually be part and watch this kind of all come together, and that in itself is very gratifying. And I think you'll find that out. But you got to get involved in order to get that sense of accomplishment. And that's actually pretty cool. So with that being said, let me hear what you guys have to say. Definitely comment here. Go over to the Facebook page. Put comments out there. You'll be allowed to. And let's see what your thoughts are. What kinds of things would you like to see in this box truck? What are your thoughts on power generation? What are your thoughts in general about this idea of putting in the living quarters, in the bathroom, in the shop area back here, using something like this for this kind of thing? I think it would be great to hear what you have to say. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. We're all friends here. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and cut the video, and stay tuned for videos to come where I start covering some more of the specifics about some ideas that I'm just kicking around in my head right now. Got a pretty good idea I got pretty good ideas for several of them, at least I think so. One way you can help me out to see whether or not it is actually a good idea is, again, sounding off. Let me see your thoughts. I'll subscribe to some maybe not so much, but no matter what, you'll probably get me thinking, which is always appreciated, and that's great. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video. Definitely, like I said, come back. Please like, subscribe, and definitely share the videos, because that helps me out so much when you share them. Stick them in a playlist or whatever. And like I said, that's huge. That's a great way to help support the channel without actually having to shell out a dime, and that's fantastic. And for those of you out there who did click one of the ads, thank you very much. That's another way you've already helped to support the channel. So thanks for that. And if you didn't, don't worry about it. You'll get another opportunity. I guarantee it. So with that, thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.